الله أكبر الله أكبر.
So, let's talk about something really tough. We're going to explore one of life's most painful experiences through the lens of the Quran: betrayal. And not just any betrayal, but when it comes from the people we love and trust the most. It's a wound that just cuts deeper than any other. And you know what? The Quran addresses this pain head on.
And it's a fair question, right? Why is it so much harder to bear when it comes from loved ones? Well, the answer is kind of woven into our very nature. We expect support from family, from our friends. So when that trust is shattered, the wound feels so personal, so profound, and honestly, sometimes it feels impossible to heal. You know, the Quran doesn't shy away from this harsh reality. It doesn't sugarcoat it. In fact, it meets this pain head on, using stories that are, well, they're both heartbreaking and just filled with this deep divine wisdom. They teach us that even in our absolute darkest moments, there is a lesson and there is a purpose.
And if you want a perfect example of this specific kind of pain, look no further than one of the most powerful stories in the Quran about betrayal within a family, the story of Prophet Yusuf. This right here from Surah Yusuf just gets straight to the heart of it. It acknowledges this incredibly painful truth that, let's be honest, many of us experience, but very few people want to talk about. The Quran is validating that feeling, saying, yes, sometimes the deepest hurt really does come from those who are supposed to be our greatest comfort. The story itself is just so powerful. Yusuf's own brothers, literally consumed by jealousy, plotted against him. They threw him into a well, they sold him into slavery. But here's the incredible twist. Their act of harm, which was meant to destroy him, actually became the very thing that set Yusuf on a path to power and honor. It's a perfect example of God's unseen plan. So what's the reflection here? It's huge. The story teaches us that, yeah, the wounds from those closest to us are real, they are deep, and God sees them. But it also teaches us that patience through a trial like that is never, ever wasted. It's like a seed that will, without a doubt, eventually bear fruit. Okay, so we've talked about betrayal through action, but the Quran also looks at another, really painful form of separation, one that's rooted in belief. And here we see how faith itself can actually redefine the very meaning of family. Just look at these two powerful examples. On one hand, you have Prophet Nuh pleading with God to save his own son from the flood, only to be taught that true family, true kinship, is defined by righteousness, not just by blood. Then you have Prophet Ibrahim, who had to distance himself from his own father to stand up for the truth. Both stories show us this profound principle. Sometimes your ultimate loyalty to God can cost you your closest relationships on earth. So this all leads to a really big question, maybe the question. Why? Why does God allow these incredibly painful hardships to happen in the first place? Well, the Quran's answer is that they are not random. They are divine tests, and every single one has a deep purpose. I mean, think about the trial of Maryam. Accused, shamed, totally alone. She was in such despair that she wished she had never even been born. But it was right there, at her absolute weakest, her lowest point, that God sent her comfort and provision. It just goes to show you that divine mercy is often closest when we feel the most broken. And if you've ever felt that kind of crushing loneliness, you're not alone. I mean, even the prophets felt it. Prophet Yunus in the belly of the whale, Prophet Ayub suffering through illness and loss, they were completely cut off from everyone. Their stories teach us that this feeling of loneliness isn't abandonment. It's an opportunity to turn their heart completely to God because He is the only one who truly never leaves. You know, sometimes what feels like a total disaster is actually a redirection. Prophet Musa had to flee his home as a fugitive, filled with fear, not knowing what would happen next. But that escape wasn't the end. It was the very beginning of his journey to prophethood. What looked like a devastating loss was actually God guiding him toward his ultimate destiny. So, after walking us through the pain and explaining the purpose behind it, the Quran doesn't just leave us there. No, it brings us to its ultimate conclusion. It offers us the promise of relief and a powerful message of hope. And this verse, wow, it's like a splash of cold water. It challenges us directly. Did you really think the path to paradise would be easy? It reminds us that we're not the first to suffer. Those who came before us were tested so severely that they cried out in desperation. And it's in that exact moment of ultimate need that the Quran delivers its most crucial promise. Unquestionably, the help of Allah is near.
And that right there is the core reassurance. Whatever it is you're facing, the message is crystal clear. Do not lose hope. Your trial is not a sign that you've been abandoned. It's a testament to the strength that God already knows you have. Your pain is seen, your struggles are counted, and nothing is wasted. And most importantly, His help is closer than you can even imagine.
So, I'll leave you with this to think about. When everything we rely on is shaken to its core, when we are tested by the people we thought we could trust the most, what is our anchor? What is it that keeps us steady? You know, reflecting on big ideas like this is exactly what we're all about here. At the Thought Circuit, we explore Quranic wisdom, personal growth, and practical ideas, from smart investing to using AI for productivity, all to help you think more clearly and live with a greater sense of purpose.